So Odysseus starts telling everybody what's been happening to him for the last 10 years, which is really just an excuse for us to have a massive flashback that lasts like 2/3 of the fucking book. So, he says the first thing that happened is they all went to the island of the Cicones, and the Cicones murdered a bunch of them. That is the most boring part of the entire Odyssey right there. Then, he goes to the island of the Lotus Eaters. Now, lotuses apparently, in the parameters of the Odyssey, equal heroin. So Odysseus and all of his dudes, or all of what's left of his dudes, show up to the island of the Lotus Eaters, and the Lotus Eaters are like, dudes, you want to try some heroin? Some lotuses? And Odysseus' guys are like, sure, why not? So they try some lotuses, and they're like, no, we don't want to ever leave this island ever. We just want to put lotuses in our mouths. And Odysseus is like, no, you can't do that. And so he takes his guys, and he drags them bodily back to the ship, and he locks them up so that they can be in heroin withdrawal and super useful for the rest of the fucking book. Then they sail over to the island of the Cyclops. They're just doing like a greatest hits tour of places that you do not want to go in mythical Greece. So they go to the islands of the Cyclops, who are the children of Poseidon. Now, Poseidon has some fucked up kids. Like, he has dragons and sea monsters and cyclops and really hot nymphs. So if, like, Poseidon hit me up and was like, hey, do you want to date my daughter? I'd have to see her first, because there's a chance that she could be, like, a fucking... Man, I don't even know. Anyway, Odysseus gets to the island, and they're all pretty low on provisions, so they decide to raid one of the caves that the Cyclops live in. So he goes to this one cave, and there's like a whole bunch of provisions in there, and they're about to like get away scot-free before the Cyclops gets back, when Odysseus is like, dudes, we should totally hang out until the Cyclops comes back and like scare the shit out of him. And all of his men are like, why? Why would we... He's huge! They're huge! And Odysseus is like, come on! And they're like, fuck, you're the boss. So they hang out, and they wait for Polyphemus, who's the dude who owns the cave, to come back. And he comes back, and he's like, hey guys, how you going? Welcome to my cave. I'm going to eat all of you. And he eats 2 of them, and then he locks the rest of them up to eat later. And he puts a huge boulder in front of the cave so that nobody can get out. So now all of Odysseus' men are sitting in the cave like, oh, well, thank you, Odysseus, for completely fucking us all in the ass, mouth, face, and eye holes. And Odysseus is like, no, dudes, it's fine, I totally have a plan. Because I feel like the reason that he, like, hung out in the first place was to get them caught so that he could come up with a totally sweet plan. Because, see, what he needs to do is he needs to get Polyphemus to move the boulder at the mouth of the cave, because none of him or his dudes are strong enough to move it themselves. So they can't just kill him. So Odysseus is like, hey, Polyphemus, you want to get super drunk right now? And Polyphemus is like, yeah, sure, I got a bunch of booze. So they get wasted. And Polyphemus, like, starts to actually like Odysseus. And he's like, dude, what's your name? And Odysseus is like, nobody is my name. And Polyphemus is like, that's a fucking weird name, but okay, I believe you for some reason. And then he passes out from being so fucking drunk. And then, in the middle of the night, Odysseus gets up, and he stabs a red-hot poker into Polyphemus' eye. Now, I have no idea why Polyphemus would leave a red-hot poker just lying around his place, but he did. So Odysseus stabs him with it in his one eye, and Polyphemus wakes up blind and, like, terrified, going, ah! 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 So all of his friends show up to, like, the front of his cave, like, Polyphemus, are you okay? And Polyphemus is like, nobody is killing me! Nobody is killing me! And they're like, oh, okay, well, if nobody's killing me, must be fine. Then they leave. And leaving the guy to, like, writhe in fucking cauterized eye pain for the rest of the night. And then in the morning, he's still got to feed his goats, because otherwise his goats are going to, like, die. So he has to push the boulder aside, and he's like, okay, as soon as all these goats are gone, I'm going to come back and murder all of you guys. But all the guys cling to the bottom of the goats, which are giant, and they get out that way. So there's nobody for Polyphemus to kill. And they're all being super quiet, and they go, and they get on the boat, and as they're going away on the boat, Odysseus turns around and yells, hey, by the way, it's me, Odysseus. Odysseus is the one that stabbed out your eye. You want me to write that down for you? It's ODYSSEUS. Odysseus. Got that? And Polyphemus is like, hey, Poseidon, Dad, you want to have a fucking vendetta against Odysseus for the rest of the Odyssey? And Poseidon's like, sure, sounds good to me. So then for the rest of the Odyssey, Odysseus is basically fucked. But that is a story for another time.